Nosferatu was written and directed by Robert Eggers and stars Lily Rose Depp, Nicholas Hoult, and Bill Skarsgård in what is approximately a retelling of Bram Stoker's Dracula, and is a remake of the 1920 silent film of the same name. And I'll do a very quick confession. I saw this film on Friday night, and it's now Sunday night when I'm recording this. And I did that very intentionally because I did leave the cinema in a bit of a mindset of I don't really know how I felt about it. And it's really difficult, I think, with films like this because this film has now been hyped up to the nth degree. I think, at the end of last year it came out, it started to sort of trickle out to audiences at the beginning of December, and it came out on general release New Year's Day here. So it's really hard to see something which has been massively hyped. I had, some sort of similar feelings with Maxine, The Substance, something that you really kind of look forward to and you can't wait to see. I don't know, then you had that kind of angst about, how much did I appreciate it? And actually because of the nature of this film, I just thought it would be better to sit on that for a couple of days and come back to you. So, yeah, this is an interesting one, and I thought let's crack on with the positives. And I say that not because there are a raft of negatives, but I thought I want to kind of set the context. This is an incredibly well-made film, and it is an example of amazing filmmaking. I mean, the cinematography in this film, if cinema is your bag, if filmmaking is your bag, then you have to go and see this. It looks absolutely exquisite. Most of the shots that appear throughout the film, you could describe them as pure art. That the film looks absolutely stunning. It's not like something I've ever seen before. I think it kind of pays homage to that old kind of silent film era in the way that it looks and the way that it plays out. But there are certain things in it that are done that you could never have done before. And just the way that, it's lit, the way that it just gives an impression of very minimal CGI. I'd love to know if the sets they use were real because they look really organic. Everything in this film feels very in camera, which is great. And it definitely kind of absorbs you from that perspective. And in terms of performances, pretty faultless again. I mean, Lily Rose Depp, who I don't know that well as an actress, is phenomenal in, I would say, what is the kind of the lead role. When I talk about the kind of lack of CGI, predominantly that sits with her. There are scenes where she has to contort her face, she has to contort her body, and they are just spectacular. For her to be able to do that in camera with what I believe is no assisted CGI is phenomenal. And again, she should be getting Oscar nominations. I imagine she probably won't because it's a horror and it's being released in January when all that season's kind of passed. So that would be a real shame, but she is phenomenal in it. Likewise, Nicholas Hoult, really, really solid. Really great performances throughout the whole cast. And Bill Skarsgård as Count Orlok. Again, I just thought, well, that voice that he puts on must be CGI, and apparently it's not. Apparently it's Tim working with an opera coach to bring his voice octaves down. But his costume, his presence, I just thought it was so spectacular. And a number of people said you wouldn't know that was Bill Skarsgård, and I didn't. It just looks the part, and that character is so sinister. And yeah, I mean, this is where I kind of have my moral dilemma. And this is a real thing that, as an overthinker, as a film reviewer, it becomes really difficult because when you have a film that looks amazing, the art, the kind of the artistry, the acting, everything in it is flawless, and yet you spend your time in the film kind of wanting it to end. Oh, I feel terrible saying it. And it's a film that I'm thinking, God, it was great, but I would probably never go back to it and rewatch it. I've seen quite a lot of backlash to this film in the last few days, and a lot of the comments are, oh no, it's really boring and it sucks and no stars because it's dull. I can't in good conscience say this is a bad film. It's not. It's amazing in many different respects. And I knew that going into this, I've never really enjoyed any of Robert Eggers' films. I've not seen The Northman, but I have seen his first film, The Witch, which again I found a bit plodding and a bit kind of took its time to get anywhere. I couldn't really watch The Lighthouse. It just did nothing for me. I didn't find it entertaining, and I was completely lost with it. I think of all the films I've seen of his, this was the most cohesive, the most well-rounded, the most kind of conventional in that respect. And it was, it was phenomenal in terms of, how it played out. It just isn't for me. And I don't think that's actually the film's problem. I'm willing to take on board this is 100% to do with me. I'm not even saying it's bad. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it. It's just not a film that I'm going to watch and grab off the DVD shelf in many years to come. And again, that makes it really, really kind of difficult to have a major viewpoint on it. So that's why this review will be fairly short, because yes, I think you'll know yourself if you like slow burn, period horror, that kind of gothic kind of styling, and you don't mind something's a bit slow, go and see it. I think if you're a horror fan, you have to go and see this. If you know that your attention span is low and you want to kind of come out of the cinema with a bit more of a bit more of a gut reaction, that's kind of not what I got with it. And I always go back to last year, how many films came out where I left the cinema in a kind of meh kind of like kind of viewpoint, and then I watched The Substance, I watched Terrifier 3, even Smile 2, came out of the cinema buzzing and pumped of, wow, I've just seen that, I want to make other people see it. I didn't get that with Nosferatu. But it is probably the best in terms of cinematography and artistry of all those films, and it probably will be going forward. And I feel like a lot of the critics that I've seen have danced around the point of, yes, it's great, but did you actually enjoy it? Like, is this a film that you would actually want to go back to? And there will be people that absolutely love this. I think there'll be a lot of people who will be like, wow, that was amazing, I loved it, and then we'll never watch it again. And we'll find it difficult to suggest to other people to watch it. And I know that my boyfriend, for example, would probably absolutely hate this film because it's slow and it takes a while to get going. And it's not even that long. It just felt like it was a long film. It's just over 2 hours. So that's the moral quandary. I'm here to review films, and sometimes I just have to be clear on what I'm reviewing it on. Some films are great, even though we know they're kind of shit. Like, they're not well made, but they're fun. They are just silly watches, and you can get a lot out of them. And then there are films that are really well made, but maybe you just think, that just wasn't my bag. So, in the interest of diplomacy and wanting everyone to go and watch this, knowing what they're like and knowing what they're looking for, this is an 8 out of 10 for me. That's probably lower than you're seeing other critics get it. This is getting a lot of 10 out of 10s, a lot of 5 out of 5s. It's hitting a lot of those top lists. But I am starting to see that come down over the weeks, because I think maybe a number of people are kind of going, yeah, it was a great, really well-made film, but maybe the kind of the viewing experience of it was quite hollow. Like, I didn't really engage with the characters that much. I didn't really have much investment. I think because of the nature of the film, the way it's filmed, the way they speak, it just doesn't come across as a film where I can really buy into the emotion behind it, because the characters are just a little bit too distant. But anyway, that's a very, very challenging film to kick off 2025. There's going to be a lot of, I would say, much more crowd-pleasing films. And I'm not always a crowd-pleaser person, but sometimes I don't want to sit in a cinema just kind of wishing something would be done. And again, nothing to do with this film. It's all on me. But as I said, it is recommended. Go check it out. And I'll see you for the next one in 2025.